This is the emergency alert system on behalf of Her Majesty's government. Please stand by. This is the emergency alert system on behalf of Her Majesty's government. Earlier today, an incident took place at an animal research centre in Cambridge, England. 3 members of the group calling themselves the Animal Welfare Front managed to gain entry to the facility before proceeding to access a high-security research zone embedded within the facility. The precise nature of how this incident happened remains unclear, although we can confirm that it resulted in a specimen containment breach from the research zone. Due to the nature of this incident, local police have been deployed to the research centre to aid the local security forces in locking down the building and securing the surrounding area. Prime Minister Tony Blair has stated this is merely a precautionary measure, and that law enforcement should have the situation under control within the next 2 hours. However, due to the highly sensitive nature of the work done at this facility, a stay-at-home order has been announced for the residents of the city of Cambridge, coming into effect immediately. You are to return home and stay indoors until the all-clear is given by your local authorities and the British government. Do not be alarmed, this is for your own well-being and is only a minor temporary measure. Any further updates will be broadcast to the public on a need-to-know basis. That concludes this broadcast. Thank you. This is the emergency alert system on behalf of Her Majesty's government. Please stand by. This is the emergency alert system on behalf of Her Majesty's government. Over the past 2 days, we have seen large-scale rioting and civil disorder taking place across parts of England, stretching to the Welsh border. The government utterly condemns the unrest and warns that any and all participants will be identified and brought to justice. There are examples of severe violence breaking out across the affected cities, with several deaths already reported to local authorities. The cause of the violent disorder is currently unknown, and independent media claims associating the incident at the Cambridge Animal Research Centre with the violence are utterly unfounded and unsupported with any sufficient evidence. Due to the nature of the violence, all available police forces are being mobilised to the affected areas, including riot police and armed police. If the unrest continues to boil over and spread, we will have no choice but to deploy the British Armed Forces on the streets of the UK. This behaviour is utterly unacceptable, and the government feels it has no choice but to declare martial law for the entirety of mainland England and Wales. Please, stay in your homes and refrain from violence. Any member of the public on the streets may be classed as a threat by law enforcement and detained. Please, obey the law and help us solve the current crisis we face as a nation. Thank you. This is the emergency alert system on behalf of Her Majesty's government. Please stand by. This is the emergency broadcast system on behalf of Her Majesty's government. The government can confirm that the source of the violent outbreak flooding the country has now been formally identified. The incident at the Cambridge Animal Research Centre released a severely mutated and dangerous infection. The virus was initially contained to the facility, however, due to the incident, specimens infected with the virus became loose. From there, a cross-species transmission event occurred, in which the virus jumped to humans present in the facility. Due to the top-secret nature of the facility, information on the virus is scarce, and mostly classified, meaning the governmental response to the outbreak was hampered initially, and so early attempts to stop what was thought to be then civil disorder were totally ineffective. Now, however, we are in possession of sufficient information on the virus to make serious progress in solving this issue. Effective immediately, the British Armed Forces have been deployed to the streets of the UK in an attempt to quell the spread of the infection and restore order to the United Kingdom. This will take time and effort, with the number of infected individuals rampaging across the nation estimated to already be upwards of 2 million individuals, with many more dead in the afflicted areas. It has been confirmed that the Prime Minister has been relocated outside of London in a precautionary measure in case the virus reaches the capital. The government is needed to effectively deal with this issue, and so this decision is in the best interests of the British people. Her Majesty the Queen and the royal family have also been relocated by helicopter to Balmoral Castle in another precautionary move to ensure the safety of the Crown. We understand that this is a dangerous and scary situation for the public, and the government can confirm that it is doing everything possible within its power to help ease and eventually solve this issue. We can confirm that the best and brightest scientists available to the government have been granted a blank check, as well as unlimited resources, in order to develop a cure to the rage virus, with progress hoped to be made in a relatively fast manner. Martial law remains in place for England and Wales, and has now been introduced to Scotland also. Any civilians in cities, which do not currently have a rage virus presence, are advised to barricade your homes, and freely cooperate with the local officials governing your area. Your cooperation will help bring this nation-wide issue to a swift and responsible end. Those listening in areas affected or overrun by the rage virus are to listen closely to the following section of this broadcast. Those infected with the rage virus have recently been compared with zombies commonly depicted in film and TV, however, this is entirely inaccurate. We can confirm that those infected with the rage virus are still alive, and still functioning people, under the influence of an extremely dangerous infection, which overrides their core system of morality. They lose their former selves, their former morals, and become overtaken with rage. Due to this, they are extremely feral and vicious. Their primary goal seems to be the spread of the infection, currently overtaking their bodies and minds. The infection itself is bloodborne, meaning transmission is possible through the consumption of blood and possibly the bodily fluid of the infected individual. Due to this, we have recorded incidents of the infected attempting to bite down on the exposed skin of non-infected individuals, as well as brutally assaulting them in a severely savage manner. The transformation is extremely quick, with the brain being completely overtaken within a matter of seconds. As far as we are currently aware, until we make significant progress on a cure for the virus, this state is permanent. This means any and all family and friends infected are no longer who they were before infection. They can't be reasoned with, stopped, or talked down. They are a threat to your life, and you must distance yourself from them immediately. They have heightened senses, with their perception of hearing being fine-tuned. Make sure if you are in an area containing infected that you stay as quiet as possible, and limit all sounds to an absolute minimum in an attempt to avoid detection. They also can track by smell and sight, similar to healthy humans, meaning staying out of sight and close distance from the infected is a priority. If you find yourself in a life-threatening situation, the known method of stopping the infected is to destroy the brain, but remember that the entry of any bodily fluid into your body will result in infection. So remain completely covered up and protected. The infected are still demonstrating basic human impulses, meaning food and water are still needed. This provides hope that if the greater population can stay away from the infected for long enough, they may die out through dehydration and starvation. Any further developments or information gained on the infected or the progress of a cure will be broadcast to the public as soon as possible. Stay safe, stay alive, and cooperate with the government. We need your help to solve this issue. Thank you. Alert, alert, alert. This is the emergency broadcast system on behalf of Her Majesty's government. We can confirm that the Queen and the royal family have been safely evacuated from Great Britain by Royal Air Force helicopters. We can also confirm that Prime Minister Tony Blair is currently meeting with American President George W. Bush in Washington to develop a joint Anglo-American plan on how to best solve the crisis sweeping the United Kingdom. Citizens of London are required to gather in the allocated safe zones designated by the military forces in the area of Greater London, as the rage virus horde is expected to hit the city within the coming days. Due to the sheer number of hostiles swarming towards the capital, civilian volunteers will be accepted into the ranks of the armed forces to shore up the desperate defense of the city. Military commanders believe that a victory around London will be the morale boost needed for the pockets of survivors dotted in other major cities in Great Britain. We urge the British people to not give up. We must stay unified in our belief that we will overcome this threat and restore order to our great nation. Now a message from Her Majesty the Queen to those of you listening from the fallen cities of Great Britain. I urge you to keep your faith. Your faith in our nation, your faith in our government, your faith in our armed forces, and importantly, your faith in God. God will see us through these times. I pray for you all. God save Great Britain. End broadcast. Alert, alert, alert. This is the emergency broadcast system on behalf of Her Majesty's government. Prime Minister Tony Blair has came to an agreement with United States President George W. Bush on a plan for British civilians to be able to obtain refugee status in the United States of America. President Bush has also managed to obtain agreements with several other nations on behalf of the United Kingdom for similar refugee status treaties to be obtained. These nations include France, Spain, Portugal, the Republic of Ireland, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, Norway, and the Netherlands. These countries have agreed to provide both military support in the event of a coordinated assault on the rage virus hordes in the United Kingdom, and also limited refugee status to healthy British citizens. This is the diplomatic side of a new operation being put into action immediately across the United Kingdom. The operation, code-named Operation Vera Lynn, is a mass evacuation the likes the world has never seen before. Ships of the Royal Navy, joined by thousands of Allied NATO vessels, have begun to approach specific ports and towns around Great Britain. Once in position, these vessels will remain in place for 24 hours, ferrying survivors who make it to these locations aboard the ships and carrying them to safety. Once these ships depart, they will not return. This will be the only way off of mainland Britain, as NATO has agreed to set up a naval quarantine zone around the island. Due to the extremely infectious nature of the rage virus, they cannot be allowed to leave Britain. Therefore, every civilian evacuating will undergo a series of rigorous health tests to ensure there are no passive carriers of the virus fleeing amongst the healthy. The first wave of ships will arrive at between 2 and 3 a.m. tomorrow on the 16th of November, and will depart their ports permanently at 3 a.m. on the 17th of November. Once these evacuations take place, we must stress, there will be no more attempted rescues. Great Britain will be cut off and quarantined for an indefinite period of time. The points of pickup around Britain over the next 24 hours are as follows. St Ives and Hale, Cornwall, Newquay, Cornwall, Woolacombe, Cornwall, Weston-super-Mare, England, Bristol, England, Cardiff, Wales, Llanelli, Wales, Milford Haven, Wales, Newgale, Wales, Goodwick and Fishguard, Wales, Aberystwyth, Wales, Cricksieth, Wales, Holyhead, Wales, Rhyl, Wales, Liverpool, England, Blackpool, England, Morecambe, England, Whitehaven, England, North and South Shields, England, Sunderland, England, Hartlepool, England, Whitby, England, Scarborough, England, Easington, England, Hull, England, Grimsby, England, Skegness, England, Hunston, England, Cromer, England, Great Yarmouth, England, Felixstowe, England, Southend-on-Sea, England, Sheerness, England, Margate, England, Dover, England, Hastings, England, Eastbourne, England, Worthing, England, Portsmouth, England, Bembridge, Isle of Wight, Bournemouth, England, Weymouth, England, Sidmouth, England. There will be one more series of evacuations from the Greater London area, including helicopter and airplane extractions, along with boats on the River Thames. That is a separate operation, code-named Operation Final Dusk, taking place from 12 p.m. on the 17th and concluding the 18th at 12 p.m. This will be the absolute final exit point for any surviving citizens remaining on the mainland of England and Wales. A similar plan for Scotland will be mentioned further on in the broadcast. Once those final ships and helicopters leave, there will not be a returning rescue effort. You will be stuck on the mainland, with no chance of rescue. We know what we are requesting of you. Almost all of these areas are either swarming with rage virus infected, or have been overrun at some point in the past few days, but these areas are spread out enough, and contain enough infrastructure, along the coastal regions, that they allow the NATO navies to efficiently execute this plan to the best of their abilities. We understand the chance of attack and infection from the rage infected is very high, but due to the nature of our situation, we have very few options left to us. We hope enough of you will manage to reach these safety points by the time the ships leave. Due to the infected presence only just beginning to cross the Scottish border, a separate plan has been devised. The areas of Annan, Cardonis, Mayerport, Girvan, Ayr, Greenock, Dumbarton, Wick, Wilkhaven, Lossiemouth, Peterhead, Aberdeen, Dundee and Edinburgh have been designated escape zones, and ships will arrive in these areas at 12 p.m. on the 18th and leave at 12 p.m. on the 19th. Soldiers will hold a strip of land between Abingdon and Bonnyrigg in an attempt to divert and stop any approaching infected from reaching Edinburgh and central Scotland before the evacuation is complete. The surviving soldiers will then be airlifted to safety. The great exodus of Britain weighs heavy on our hearts, but we have no alternatives. Our main goal is the survival of as many civilians as possible. Please, do everything you can to make it to one of the designated escape zones in time. That is the end of this broadcast.
Day 28 since it started. Low on food, low on water, low on morale, to be honest. But I did see someone today, off in the distance. He came out of the hospital, still in the gown and everything. It was as if he'd just woken up. I hope he's ready for this world. God, I hope he's ready.